Ce soir, je vais vous parler de la déneigement à Montréal, parce qu'à Montréal, la neige, c'est un déchet. In Montreal, snow is garbage, or at least that's what the city thinks. And tonight I'm going to read to you in English with French slides from a book I wrote about this subject a few years ago. It's called Où va la neige, Where the Snow Goes. Every winter, lots and lots of snow falls in Montreal, but as soon as it hits the ground, it gets scooped up and disappears. Where does it go? Well, I once heard that it goes to a huge snow mountain, a mountain so big and so cold that it never melts away, not even in summer. This I gotta see. So I call the city and I speak with a waste management engineer. He doesn't show me the snow mountain, but he does show me this map of Montreal. It explains how trucks move snow from neighborhoods out to dumping sites at the edge of the city. It bothers me to hear that snow is called waste and treated like garbage, but I keep listening in hopes of finding my way to the snow mountain. Then come the numbers. Montreal spends $60 million a year on snow removal. More than 2,000 kilometers of road and 3,000 kilometers of sidewalk are cleared each time it snows. Over the winter, 300,000 truckloads are carried away. Just how much snow are we talking about? 7 million cubic meters. This much. A snowman bigger than the Eiffel Tower. I decide to follow a truck. I watch as the plows gather the snow on my street, and then the great blower machine throws the snow onto the big truck. I follow that truck. It travels a great distance to the outskirts of the city, where it finally dumps the snow into an enormous quarry. The quarry is really something, but I want to find a snow mountain. So I go back to my neighborhood and I watch as another truck is filled to the brim with snow. I follow that truck. It drives eastward past the Cartier Bridge. It leads me to an enormous black heap. It stinks. It's dirty. Oh no, could it be? It's the snow mountain, filthy and polluted. All my hopes and dreams are dashed. Snow is garbage. I decide to take matters into my own hands. I get a shovel, I get a cooler, I get a white suit. Wearing my protective suit, I then set about testing different zones of the mountain. It turns out that the snow is in fact a mixture of snow, yes, and plastic, and salt, and soot, and who knows what else. But then, I realize that beneath the dirty crust of the snow, there's something brighter, softer. I take out my shovel and I begin to dig, and dig, and dig. I keep digging, and digging, and digging, and digging, and digging, and eventually I reach softer, cleaner snow within the mountain interior. And there's more. I find something I hadn't expected. Deep, deep within the mountain, I discover a system of tunnels and cracks created by melting snow. I make my way down one of these tunnels. I come to the edge of a giant crevasse, a crevasse so deep and so dark it seems to have no bottom. Suddenly my foot slips on the icy floor. Down I go, falling and falling, down, down, down into the crevasse. I keep falling and falling and falling and falling. Time passes and still I'm falling. I fall for so long that I grow tired. I fall and fall and fall, and then I fall asleep. And I begin to dream. At first, I dream of trucks and the incredible effort to move all that snow to the dirty mountain at the city's edge. I wonder if there might not be something better to be done with all that snow. I dream of putting the snow into the vacant lots in my neighborhood. I dream of a great wall of snow built to enclose the city and mark its limits. After all, isn't it true that most animals mark their territory with waste? It is. I dream of dumping the snow into a big empty stadium. I drift in and out of more dreams, somehow aware that I am still falling. In my final dream, I imagine the snow being dumped into a special snow well, a deep pit in the middle of a city park. All winter, the snow would build up in the well, forming a solid block of snow underground. And as summer arrived, the snow would begin to melt, and the great block would float up to the surface like an iceberg at sea. A park that stays cool all summer long. But splash, splash. Floof. I awake suddenly as I plunge headfirst into the icy water at the bottom of the crevasse. Floating all around me are chunks of ice, pieces of wood, plastic bags, and other garbage scooped up from the streets of Montreal. I am cold and wet and stuck. What to do? But then I remember my dream about the floating block of snow, and it gives me an idea. I will float up and out of this place. I collect hundreds and hundreds of plastic bags. I sew them together to form a great big balloon. I manage to light a fire beneath that balloon, and it carries me up through the crevasse and out of the snow mountain. What an adventure. Now when it snows, I will think of where it goes. But this story has an epilogue. A few things to tell you that I did not put in the book, that I could not put in a children's book. It turns out there are other people in Montreal who are also dreaming of snow. A young woman by the name of Marie-Gilles Blanchette, a recent graduate of McGill, has just proposed a project for a snow water filtration plant next to the Cartier Bridge. She makes an architectural spectacle, a public event of piling the snow and then feeding it into the filtration center. She also reminds us that in recent years, the amount of snow we move has doubled in volume and in cost. We now move 13 million cubic meters of snow, and it now costs $120 million. Finally, here is some math, which I left out of the book and I invite you to consider. 1 cubic meter of snow can provide the equivalent of $11 of cooling energy. So 13 million cubic meters of snow, $140 million of cooling energy. And guess what? It's already in transit, loaded on trucks, just waiting for us to imagine how to use it, how to store it, how to design it. Merci, bonsoir.